Hi guys, welcome back to VenterAdventurers with me, Michael. This is Outdoor Mondays. Today we're going to go through five items which you can get for cheap to cheapen out your costs. What I do want to stress with this is any items which require for safety or keeping you alive out in the hills, so your bags, your boots, your waterproofs, don't scrimp. And please, if you're ever doing any climbing or doing any stuff where you require the kit to keep you alive, never scrimp. Get the best quality kit you can for the price you can. And like most jobs or markets, you pay for quality in the outdoor industry. So today we're going to show you some items which you can get away with if you can't afford to get the best stuff. Okay, first item on the list is a Leclerc torch. This is the brand I use, but usually you can get torches pretty cheap. This only cost me £14. It's a 1000 lumen torch and it's practically bomb-proof. I've thrown it at stuff, I've dropped it off everything, and it just works. With a torch, because you always take spares when you take an extra torch, you can usually get away with maybe not getting the 100% most expensive torch, but then it's also down to personal opinion. I don't personally buy expensive torches because likelihood of you losing it breaking is very high with torches, so there's no point getting a piece of kit like this and dropping it and then you break it, and if you spent £60 on it, that's £60 down the drain. Whereas I've managed to buy a couple of the Leclercs up in my room. I've got a spare, and for the price of a £60 head torch, which says on my pretzel, I've got 4 Leclerc torches. Grant you, it's not a head torch, but it does this job really well. Okay, second item on the list is knives. When it comes to knives, I always go for cheaper the better. Not because I lack quality, but you can get some really good knives for cheap prices, especially from a company called Morkveer. Most bushcraft guys will tell you don't scrimp on your knife, but unless you're doing something like bushcraft or survival, you don't need to spend the big bucks on your knives. This only cost me £14, and you can usually get it for about that price from most outdoor retailers, like Cotswold Outdoors and a few others, even on Amazon. They're really good to learn with knives as well, so as a scout leader, we use these with a scout group. But on that point, with knives, you've got to be careful. You always want to get a good quality knife, something which is sharp, which is a good blade, and is decent steel, because you can get some knives which aren't made with good steel. Something like a Morkveer is really good with its steel. For the price it is, they make a very good quality knife. On another point with knives, a lot of people will tell you to take a multi-tool or a Swiss Army knife. Sometimes they can be a little bit expensive. A Virginox won't cost you too much, but a Leatherman or a Gerber will put you back at least £35 to £40, depending on what you're going for. But you can get around that. If you pick yourself up a pair of pliers for 30p from your most DIY retailers or outdoor retailers, some will stock them, and a wire saw, you've got all the components you need for survival with a multi-tool. But then don't worry about that. Swiss Army knives, you can usually get quite a cheap one from companies who make similar to Virginox, online, in most outdoor retailers, for not too much of a cost. They're really good. I would recommend something like that. But going on to one safety point before we move on to the next topic. Whatever knives you buy, most people will keep them in a drawer. But what you should be doing, and if you do any knife training, they usually tell you about this, get yourself a lockbox or a secure box, somewhere you can put your knives and store them away. Because you probably shouldn't be storing them in your house. Because if anything happens, they're an easy access for everyone. You don't want that. You want them out of the way, in your garage, so then if something happens, you're not liable. Because if you have a knife in the drawer, usually there can be some issues. So, just remember that. Okay, third item on the list will be a roll mat. A lot of people go for air beds. I usually don't. I just go for a cheap foam air mat you can get from most retail stores, outdoor retailers, even a lot of just stores do it. Anyone wants to do any camping gear from the range, I recommend them. They do very cheap kit. all you need is a bit of foam off the ground just to give you some insulation, because you'll find you're sorely missing a bit of insulation below you if you ever sleep outside without one. I've had that in the past and it's not very comfortable. So just get yourself something cheap. Good thing about something quite cheap, I've got here a black swan, is if you can see, come around to you guys, on there's lots of little rips on it and damaged. That's from my trips. If I bought an airbed, it'd be useless by now with all the rips and tears I've got in there. So I recommend something like this for everyone. If you're looking cheap or you're not looking cheap, because something like this, you're not worried about if it gets ripped or caught. So a lot of people attach it to the outside of their rucksacks, and that sometimes has a tendency to get ripped when you're walking through, like brambles, thickets, all manner of things. So keeping it cheap, keep it cheerful, and it's super lightweight. It's key to this all. But in certain situations, what happens if you got yourself an airbed? It goes wrong, it's popped, it's not going to give you insulation. There's a little trick which in bushcraft world, which I've heard, I've tried, which works. You get yourself a bin liner, try and get one preferably like length for your back or near enough so you've got a bit off the ground. Get yourself a lot of leaves, avoiding sticks, put it in the bin bag and flatten it out. Just gives you a little bit of insulation off the ground. Because at the end of the day, that's how you lose a lot of your heat when walking, sleeping, camping, is from your contact to the ground. Because a sleeping bag is good, but it's not going to get rid of all that heat. So you've got to keep some insulation to stop all your heat being sucked into the ground. Okay, on to the next point. Point 4 is dry bags. Dry bags are a brilliant piece of kit to put your store in. There's a lot of guys and YouTubers, like if you recommend looking at like kit stuff, there's a guy called MKR. He's a military kit reviewer, but he does some brilliant like showing how to use like dry bags and kit packing. But not all people can afford to have dry bags, so I recommend a combination of them and plastic bags. And in a second I'll show you what I put in there. Because certain stuff you want to keep super dry. So your clothes, anything extra warm layers, get them in a dry bag. Don't faff about with plastic bags for that stuff. But your coat, other bits like that, stuff you prefer wouldn't get wet. But if it does get wet, it's not the end of the world. Swing them in a plastic bag. This is what I've done. So in mine, I usually put, I'll come out to the camera to you guys. Sit at the table. My gloves, my buff, usually my sun cream and other bits. It's usually more used as just a separator, but it's got a layer of waterproofing, because if you see, I wrap that up, secure it in my bag like that, down like that, between stuff. Water ain't going to get in there. It's just not 100% waterproof, but it'll cut down the cost of your kit. Where you can, use these, but use them sparingly, because at the end of the day, they can be quite expensive if you want to get the good stuff. So just bear that in mind. Okay guys, 5th item on the list is food. Food is certain items which a lot of people, when they're on expeditions or trips, will buy ration packs. Bits like these. So this is a high energy gel. Stuff like this is brilliant, but it's food at the end of the day. You consume it, it's gone. So in that area, I personally don't recommend it, because they're usually quite heavyweight. And unless you're doing something like you're in the armed forces, you're in the military, or you're a mountaineer and you're doing high expeditions, and you need high calorific content, there's no point going for them. What I recommend is keeping to the cheap stuffs. Bulky stuff, your pastas, your pasta sauces, you know, once you can get Domino's in the packs, little bits like that, because they are not expensive, but you can eat a lot of it. I remember, for me personally, I did my DAV a couple of years back. We lived on pasta for 4 days. By the end, everyone was sick of pasta, because it was just bowls of pasta with sauce. But it just shows you don't need to spend a lot on the food. Just buy core essentials. You want a mixture of protein, carbs, fats and sugars. A lot of people who are healthy eaters won't think about the sugars, but get your natural sugars. Stuff like apples, jams. I even knew some guy who would do walks with sugar cubes. He'd have sugar cubes in his pocket and just give him sparks of energy improvement. So that's key with the food, but you can do it quite cheap. The tip with that is, don't buy here and there for your food for an expedition or a trip, or a hike or anything. Go in one go, give yourself a goal and target of the price, and don't go over it. Buy what you can. Buy bulk if you need, you can always use it later. Just look at your ingredient stuff, separate out in your bag, but you can keep the price down. It's a very good area to keep the price down on. Okay guys, here's a bonus one for you. I know recently we just hit 10 subscribers. To say thank you, I'm going to go through one extra item which you can get for a bit cheaper. Your scarves. Scarves, hats and beanies. You'll find them online for quite a lot of price, but usually you pay for brand. I don't. I usually just go for something which keeps me warm, something goes around my neck and just adds a bit of warmth. You don't really need to spend too much on that, unless you're going somewhere where it requires a cold rating. Then you look at that. So if you're going alpining, you're going to the Antarctic, you're going to Lapland, you're going places where something like this could be the difference between life and death and frostbite. So that's when you want to look. But when you're going for a walk in the hills, just something to keep you warm is better than nothing. So don't worry about looking again, or do a scarf. Don't worry about that. Just get yourself a scarf or a bath, something to keep you warm, keep the heat around your neck. You can pull up your face, keep the warmth there, because you lose a lot of heat from your extremities. Me, I always wear a beanie. Get a beanie. You lose so much heat from the beanie that your head, when you're not worried about lightweightness or any issues like that, just go down to your local shop, even like your New Looks, like just fashion shops. Just get something you can put on your head and keep some warmth in. You don't need to worry about spending too much. That's been our video talking about all the kit we can get for cheap. If you have any ideas or anything you think, actually, no Michael, I prefer this, or I don't think you're right there, I would love to hear your feedback. Put it down below. What we could do in the future for maybe a 100 subscriber special, looking at a new goal, fan rated. So you guys give us your suggestions on kit, I get hold of it and I go through it, and I think what would be quite good to add to my own kit. So again, thank you for 10 subscribers. I've been Michael. This is VenterAdventurers. Keep venting.